Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. How you guys doing? It is a Monday. Feels like a Sunday to me, but it is a Monday. I missed out on the Inter Hellas Verona game, as I said on my previous stream, but today I took some time out, rewatched it, so I'm ready to do an post-match reaction and analysis. Obviously, happy for the 3 points, happy for the clean sheet. Not the greatest performance, but we'll get into that. And then, or actually, yeah, you guys vote. You guys know how it is. This is a channel of the people. You guys decide everything. This is a democracy. So I want you guys to decide, what shall we talk about first? Shall we talk about, I probably know what you guys want to talk about first, because as Inter fans over the last year or 2 years, transfer market isn't really like, we talk about stuff, but usually there's not too much happening. So do you want to talk about the crazy rumors coming out of Spain, the Kessie, BROZOVIC swap rumors, DEPAY, Tuku Correa swap rumors, or shall we get into the Hellas Verona or Inter 1, Hellas Verona 0 match reaction? You guys vote in the chat. Whilst you do that, let me get into the chat and see who is in the chat and give you a little shout out. Like Daniel GM, Grande Sharma, how are you? How are you, Daniel Grande? Yeah, feeling good. Nice to be live streaming with you guys as always. Yeah, Mossab, that is the reaction when you see these types of rumors. And I'm glad I didn't react to this stuff yesterday when it was all popping off, because as always, 24 hours later, especially when it comes to the Correa, DEPAY stuff, is already, dead. It is already died down considerably compared to all the hype and all the drama going off yesterday, popping off in the Discord chat that we've got going on, and of course on Twitter, Facebook, but 24 hours later, yeah, on that side, it's already died down. So that's why I didn't have time, but I don't know if I would have made a video on it anyway. This is hard choice, would you rather, but also trade Brozo for Kessie. Yeah, I think the DEPAY Correa one, I can see that one is like a easy yes, even if you don't like DEPAY the way Correa, I think it's an easy one. In itself, it isn't a question exactly, but we're also getting into it, the kind of, when you get into a myopic state of like just looking at how bad Correa is for Inter, the like actually looking at, if we're talking about an injury-prone player like Correa, which has been one of the main issues of Correa Inter, of course, apart from his lack of performances as well. But I don't see anyone mentioning DEPAY's injury history, but we'll get into that as well if you guys vote on that. Balta in the house, what's up? Emil in the house, what's up? He is not a fan of Memphis. Anthony Bassett, great to see a stream today. Can you explain the logic behind these new transfer rumors? Oh, brother. Is there any logic? Well, okay. The logic is, as we've seen in the past, the Juve, you remember the Arthur Pjanic swap, like Barca, we know they make a lot of moves, but at the same time, they're not really able to make a lot of these moves. So they do need a lot of help in the transfer market. So, DEPAY and Kessie, for them, are currently two problem players. So that's the logic behind the rumors. That's the logic behind the rumors. And whether these actual rumors are true, or whether these rumors actually turn out to be, turn out to happen, that's different. But the logic behind these rumors is due to Barca's issues. And DEPAY has 6 months left in his contract. He does not want to stay at Barcelona. He wants to leave ASAP. He has the same, I don't even want to call him an agent because he's a lawyer. I don't think he can't even count himself as an agent. Sebastien Ledeux, if you guys remember, the guy who, the mastermind behind the mastermind, but the guy who got Lukaku back to Inter this past summer after Lukaku I think he's officially still with Pastorello. I don't know how that situations work, but for this loan move back to Inter, he used this lawyer called Sebastien Ledeux, who is also the lawyer of Memphis Depay, who also is now rumored, Ledeux is also rumored to become DiMarco's new agent. So I think there may be something there. And from what I've read, is probably Leder proposing DEPAY to everyone around Europe. Pretty much, he's proposed him to Atletico, he's proposed him to some Premier League teams, and apparently he's also proposed him to Inter. But Leder also has spoken out today. I'll bring the tweet up later. Basisa in the house, what's up? Liam Mackey in the house. Bauta, yes, thank you for reminding the people to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel whilst you are here. I'm glad you enjoy that GTA intro. Forza Inter, what's up? Mattia, of course, the Serbian Mafia in the house. What's up? No DEPAY Masterclass on Wednesday. Unfortunately, no, sir. Senior Rana said DEPAY has no intention. Yeah, I'll show the tweet that is directly from his agent or lawyer. I still don't know how to classify. Spiders in the house, what's up, sir? Transfer market, okay. So Verona's old news, get that out of the way first. Most of the rumors are bullshit. It's easy to get into name to get clicks. Exactly, Emil. Eduardo, thank you for coming through to the live stream. First time to catch you live. Thank you. Club Bouterman, thank you. Clown De Angeli is all in for Kessie. Evening, brother. How are we? I'm very good. Pixelated, thank you for coming through. Who the F wants Brozo for Kessie? Bruce Wayne. Oh, well, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of I've seen the comments online. I've done some browsing on Twitter. There, primarily, not most people don't want it, but there are definitely some people that do want it. Thank you, Mattia, for reminding the people. Christian Potato, if DEPAY doesn't want to come, we can swap for Lewandowski. Christian Potato, dreaming. Very good to see. These moves might be linked to a Lauti move in the summer. Big no. Ooh, okay, that's an interesting. Angle that I did not think about there, Spudders. Very, very interesting angle, because I didn't really think about the. 1 second. I didn't really think about the Lautaro angle on that one, because we know he's always wanted by Barcelona. Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of these moves. Sometimes you have to think of the bigger picture. There's always something in the background. Once these big clubs start collaborating, it never usually is just like one move, unless it's like one big move. But usually, yeah, you have to like read between the lines, and sometimes something pops up, a few months later, and you see like, oh, so this was the real like meat of what they were trying to do. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about the Kessie stuff and the transfer market, so we might as well start on that. I can see most people are not, especially when it comes to the Kessie and Brozovic deal. Most people are not in favor of that. Yeah, I can see it's definitely everyone in the chat it seems to be primarily against the Kessie Brozovic deal, quite rightly. Count Angeli, that's a long topic that there's not much you can do about. You can have an all-out war as much as you want, but Serie A, quickly on this, Serie A was the Super League of the 80s and 90s, and when that was going on, when Serie A were paying all the big money on all the big wages back then, no one helped the Premier League. Premier League helped themselves by creating this monster marketing machine and monster league that's suffocating everyone else, but they did it themselves. No one helped them. So yes, something needs to happen, but at the same time, Serie A needs to help themselves first. That's as much as I want to say on that topic, because as I said, is a very long conversation. Very, very long conversation. Yeah, it's another summer of big changes coming up, Spiders, for sure. Dumfries, of course, is the favorite to potentially leave. Brozovic, okay. It's always hard when we've got so many topics to cover. I just need to it's always hard to like on this live stream to narrow down what I want to focus on first. Yeah, I mean, Ahmed, we've talked about it for a while, that he's getting to that level. It depends on how he leaves, as I keep saying. It depends on how he leaves this club. That will determine for me how bad the CORREA signing was for Inter. If we manage to get zero money like for Dalba and Jean Mario, then yeah, he is there, but it depends how he leaves this club. Yeah, of course, people can have their people can have their opinions and stuff. Oh, this is very late, Alex. This is very late. There's nothing to get, bro. It's just completely out of place joke that you would do behind closed doors, but probably he definitely should have not done in public when there's cameras and things, people recording, lots of people there. It's just a bad joke. Like he was saying, leave €5 at the door to help Piero Ausilio, our sporting director, to help him buy players in the January transfer window. Like that's literally what he said. And then Piero Ausilio comes in, steals the microphone off him, and said, "Oh, speaking Italian, brother. What are you doing? You've been here for like 7-8 years." So yeah, not much to explain. There's the bad joke, just a bad joke. What's up, Ashwin? Good to see you in the house. So yeah, let me get into this. I had prepared some slides, so let's go into the transfer market stuff straight away. So first, let's cover off the Memphis Depay and Joaquin Correa. Yesterday, the news broke out. Gerard Romero, who is supposed to be, I mean, if you see the little icon next to his name by managing Barca, for the Barca universe and news, he's supposed to be a good source in terms of. It doesn't mean, like, always people think like being a good source means you get things 100% right, or whatever he says happens 100%. And again, I'm not, in the Barca world, so Barcelona fans can say better. But as you can see within Barca sources, he's given that medal of, like it says, like a gold medal in terms of for at managing Barca, and other sources that if we look on Twitter, they rank Gerard Romero quite high. So he tweeted out, and he was quite strong in terms of, he says, reached principal agreement for a swap. Like, that's already quite far down the line, like, in the negotiations, like that there's already some sort of agreement. But there was nothing out of, and as I always say this, it doesn't matter to me what source it is, even if I consider that source to be good, whether it's Di Marzio, whether it's Pedulla, whether it's Sky Sport Italia, Sport Media, any of the sources out there. If it's just one source talking about it, to me, that never convinces me. And when it was about this, only Gerard Romero talked about it. There was no confirmations coming out of Italy as of yesterday, and as of today, sources in Italy are not confirming this deal. So today, Corriere dello Sport and FC Internews, and here Sport Media Set via FC Internews, translated by Sempre Inter, here say, Depay has reportedly come up in talks between Inter and Barcelona. However, according to Mediaset, the Nerazzurri are completely lukewarm on the possibility of signing Depay. The reports state, in fact, that the player who has proposed the idea of a possible move to the Nerazzurri, as he is keen to leave Barcelona in search of more playing time. He has only 6 months left on his contract with the Blaugranas, but the wages on his deal is considerably higher than Inter would consider paying. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but it doesn't seem to have much legs. Although it is a good idea, it's an interesting proposition. It is literally like it's very similar players in terms of the positions they cover on the pitch. They both, Depay and Correa, started off as wingers in the early career. Depay, of course, back at PSV in the Dutch league, was a big talent coming out of PSV. Failed at Man United, big money signing, failed. And then at Lyon, good. How long did you say? Like 4 years, 5 years? Like, he was good stint at Lyon, star player, good. He achieved the kind of the potential that you saw early on in his career. Then he got his big move back to, a big club at Barcelona. Not so great, of course, and he's not the star player like he was at Lyon, and injuries and stuff like that. Lots of manager changes. Barcelona going through kind of their own sort of banter era, you could say. But yeah, still what, 28 years old, so still, technically, coming into his peak, or depending how you count his peak, but in his peak, definitely at 28 years old. Definitely not someone, out of his peak. He's going to be 29 in February. But that's what I'm talking about in terms of, everyone's saying it's easy win when it comes to DEPAY. But actually, when you think about it, as I said, similarly to CORREA, DEPAY, as I said, PSV when he was coming through, great upcoming talent, smashed it in the Dutch league. First big move to a big club, failed. Then went back to obviously Lyon, big club in France. But they weren't the Lyon that used to dominate France. This was a decent Lyon team, good Lyon team, but not like a big winning Lyon team. But yeah, like star player there, kind of, the main man shines there, like CORREA at Lazio, a team that's challenging for top 4, top 6 in Italy, doing well. And then, big club goes to Barcelona. So, the two big clubs he's played for, Barcelona and Man United, it hasn't really worked out for him. So it's not really the big, massive step up that everyone thinks it is. But at the same time, what Depay does for Holland, for the Netherlands, his national team, that shows, the real quality of the player. Holland over the last few years, they play primarily 3-5-2. He's that second striker. He hasn't got that same explosiveness and that flair, or like the 1v1 that he used to have earlier on in his career, but he's become much more, focal point of his team. So it's literally a straight swap, if it would be. But again, at the same time, you're talking about injury history when it comes to, we moan about CORREA. This guy isn't particularly much better either. Over the years, he's kind of, he's always been physically quite, well built. But look at that, kind of in terms of injury history, not particularly great. He had an ACL in the 1920 season. After, he, at the beginning, not much, but since his ACL, you can see, especially last season, three muscular injuries whilst he's at Barcelona. Look at that. He's missed so many games last year. That's CORREA level. Like these muscular injuries are literally pretty much the same as what CORREA has had at Inter, and this season again missed 60 days, 2 whole months with thigh problems. He has really like big trunk tree type of legs as well, like big calves, big thighs as well. So when he plants himself, he is very strong on the ball as well. But it seems like he also his muscles seem to be a bit fragile. So it really isn't if he continues with this kind of injury history, it really isn't that much of a massive upgrade that people are making it out to be, I think, on paper anyway. But, a guy looking for some redemption, looking for playing time, definitely probably has a bit more motivation than someone like CORREA would. So yeah, as I said, I would be in favor of it. Financially is probably doable as well. It depends we don't have the exact numbers of how much he's earning, because I think he did drop his salary for Barcelona. I remember reading that, I think initially when they first signed him, he was like 7 million net or something, because that's the thing. In Italy is the only country, or the only country that reports salaries net. So it's always hard to like translate over, because you never know whether they're talking about gross, or it's always hard to like translate the gross, the taxes and stuff. But Surfify here, Bernard, who's a very good Inter account to follow on Twitter, by the way. He is someone who works in the world of finance in his day job, so he talks about finance things related to Inter a lot. And he says, something that's doable, because if he earns 10 million gross, let's say, roundabout, which would make it 5 net at Barca, which is more than CORREA, who's on 3.5, but he would benefit from the growth decree which would around, will be able to Inter 7 million gross is what Inter pays for CORREA, so that would be 7 million gross for DEPAY as well. So if that figure is true, then it is also affordable on a financial basis. But the problem is Inter would need to, Barcelona would have to renew Memphis's contract because he is currently on 6 months left on his contract. So the only way, so if it's a loan, then they have to loan, with option, whether, CORREA's still got time on his contract. So they would have to renew Memphis's contract to make it happen, or they do an instant final, swap, permanent. So whatever Inter pay on the books, whatever, I don't know, the Memphis has left in terms of book value for Barca, and then Barca would pay whatever the book value for CORREA is, which actually, what would it be? So if it's 33, the 5-year contract for CORREA or 4-year? Can't remember. But let's say it's, so 6.6 times 2, 13.2, so 33 minus 13. Yeah, so, damn it. Yeah, CORREA, if it's a 5-year contract, his book value is still 20 million CORREA, so that's still. But what if it was, what is a 4-year contract? Yeah, 8 point. So it'd be 8 times 2, 16, 33 minus 16, 17. Yeah, even that doesn't make too much difference. So it's still, his book value still remains quite high, unless we do for CORREA, we do like a option to, or like an obligation to buy next year. Then you can buy him for 12 million next year, which would be his book value probably next year. That's the only way. That's the only way that would be. That's the only way that would be doable. Yeah, Excelsior, there we go again. I know he gets injured frequently, Jack says, but I think on the pitch you provide way more. Not that kind of support that thinks single player is the source of our problems, but CORREA is a ghost. 100%. Yeah, at the moment, CORREA is nothing to Inter. He's adding nothing. 100%. That's what I'm saying. I would be in favor of this, but I don't want people to be gassing this up as this massive upgrade. At the moment, as we said, Valentin Carboni is an upgrade. Put Matti Darmian up front, he's an upgrade. Put Tommaso Rocchi out of retirement, he's an upgrade on this current CORREA, who just looks an absolute shadow of a footballer. He is completely useless at the moment. So in terms of that, bring anyone in, and you upgrade on CORREA. So there's no doubt about that. And you'd probably fit, the possession-based football and kind of stuff. Maybe you'd actually, I don't know if it would. I mean, you'd have to again, if he plays like he's playing at Inter, there's no club that can save CORREA. Actually, I need to change the view. It's got a full view. Oh yeah, I know why. Because I share my StreamYard with the Interworld Wide boys, and Mo likes to have the full screen. There you go. I prefer having this screen here. So yeah, that's the thing on DEPAY. He's a good player, definitely would be at this stage. As I said, anyone would be an upgrade on CORREA, so I'd be in for it. But again, let's calm down. Another injury-prone player, another guy that hasn't really shown to be able to take the pressure at bigger clubs and do it consistently. But definitely, and yeah, he would add. Our team actually now. I remember a few years ago we used to moan that we didn't have many set piece takers, but if you think about it now, our team technically, we have so many good set piece takers. We have obviously Hakan. His free kicks haven't been as good since he's come to Inter, but set piece wise, Di Marco, Brozovic, obviously before them, he's pretty good as well. DEPAY comes in, he's another set piece specialist as well. Lovely right foot. I mean, even Barella's now this season started taking when he scored against Udinese. So the technical level in this team is could become even higher. But yeah, let's see how that develops, guys. Let's see how that develops. It doesn't seem like he has much legs to it, and I think he's very close to. I think he's quite close to moving to Atletico Madrid, as far as the reports say that he's been having conversations with Atletico. I think he would be the João Felix replacement on Atletico. So let's see. So, and then let's talk about the Kessie and Brozovic rumors. So let me bring up the article. Yeah, no, I know, brother Balkan Warrior. Like, that's why I was actually like, trying. Obviously it hasn't worked out at all. But I was like, he did, even though even last season you could count him as a flop. But at the same time, if the price tag was just too high for like that level of performance to be counted as good. But he did provide some form of positivity last year, but this season he's doing nothing, CORREA. So absolutely nothing. Yeah, and agree. If there's any chance of doing this, Inter should definitely do it. So going on the Kessie Brozovic. So the thing is, like, at some point Inter do need to like make some decisions. Like we were talking about it the other day, like our wages are getting to a really high level now. Like we're trying to decrease wages, but then these renewals are taking our wages even higher. And at the moment, Brozovic is our highest paid player in our team, not by net salary, but by gross salary, because net salary is Lukaku, as we know, but thanks to the tax breaks that Lukaku gets, he isn't. It's actually Brozovic. And then, but the Kessie one, it doesn't. So the Kessie thing is like we were linked with Kessie even as a free agent last year when he was about to move from Milan, like as a free agent, but we obviously couldn't compete with the Barcelona wages. I think in the end he ended up getting, I think he gets pretty much what Brozovic earns at Inter, like in terms of 6.5 million net, which is I think double what Milan were willing to offer him. I think Milan actually got quite close to what Hakan wanted, but in the end he decided to go with Inter's higher offer as well, but it wasn't much higher. With Kessie, Milan got nowhere near what he wanted. He apparently he was looking for like 7-8 million net as well. Like he was like shooting way high. He wanted like Rabiot money, which Milan are just never going to offer. Like they're not even offering that to Rafael Leao at the moment. So he's definitely someone who's motivated clearly by money. And then he obviously just took the best offer that was on table, Barcelona. But you could tell, like, what was the point of going to Barcelona? They don't fit your style of play. You're not a tiki-taka type of player. Even though he has got the ability to get into the box and score goals, he's not his best position, as we've seen at Atalanta. It was, in that Gasperini 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3, whatever you want to call it, being that box-to-box guy in a 2. At Milan, 4-2-3-1. We know the in Milan formation. Sometimes even played CAM for them. But, he's that guy, like, who goes, he's the duel winner. He goes up, he presses, he wins battles, he, muscles players, keeps it simple on the ball. You can't expect switches of play from Frank Kessie. You can't expect, crazy technical stuff from Frank Kessie. He is, a strong, physically very strong player, good short passing, not always technically consistent, comes up with goals here and there. He can carry the ball as well. So it is a type of player that this Inter team needs. Like I always say, you always need to look at transfers in terms of profile. Like, don't look at names and like, things like that. Obviously, it's age and things, those are things that are important. But what's the profile? Like, so Kessie is a physical, dual winning. And I wouldn't even count him as a ball carrying midfielder, to be honest. I don't think he does enough of that to count him as that. But he is a type of profile that this Inter team, like someone with a bit more legs and athleticism, is something that Inter lacks. But I wouldn't make the swap because he wouldn't be a CDM. First of all, he's a box-to-box midfielder, and as I said, he hasn't really shown that in a 4-3-3. Like when he was struggling at the beginning, so he was at Milan for what, 4 years or 5 years, and really his best year for Milan was not even his last year, the one before that. And in that year, I think Barella won midfielder of the year, Serie A MVP, midfielder of the year, whatever they call that. But I was saying, when I make my videos, I am impartial, but I was saying I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be against it if they gave that midfielder of the year to Kessie like that. And that's the season that Milan finished second to us, if you guys remember, the Conte, the title-winning season. But he was an absolute mammoth for them. But the years before, when Milan were playing 4-3-3, and he was, left centre mid, right centre mezzala, basically, he did not do well. I agree that Milan weren't that good as well back then, but he just didn't shine in that role. So him coming back to a 4-3-3, we would expect some sort of goals and, getting into the box in that role as well. I don't know if it can really shine in that role. And, we also expect the guy to be like a second regista as well, with Hakan when we expect that to come in deeper. And obviously Hakan would be the main CDM if Brozovic leaves. And I think he's shown that he's, as I keep saying, to me, I don't want to see Hakan as a mezzala anymore. I just don't like him in that role. I think CDM is his role. If he just realizes that, and, I think he just needs to realize that that's his best role. But Kessie, 6.5 million, I think it would just is, what he earns too much for, I think, for what his ability is. And I wouldn't want to lose out on Brozovic yet, even though, he's 30. But at the same time, CORREA, the one thing, and I've tweeted about it, let me see if I can find my tweet. Not the one from yesterday. So yesterday, actually, let me bring up my tweet from yesterday because that was a funny one. Because I did this as more like it wasn't my actual opinion of like, why doesn't this guy get slandered? This was more just to see what people's opinion on this is, because this season, especially, I've been seeing a lot of slander for, Lukaku or CORREA last season, or, Sensi over the last few years. In my opinion, is like players, they don't want to get injured, so none of them should be getting slander really. But Brozovic this season has been injured probably just as much as Lukaku this year, just as much as Sensi used to get injured, more than CORREA was injured last year. Like, we haven't seen this guy since October. Yes, he had a great World Cup, but what does that do for me, for Inter? That does nothing for me or for Inter. So I don't know what benefit that's to me. And the thing is with Brozovic, and, I was having a debate here with the at Jubri in 12, Junior Bryce Vincent. He said because he doesn't have the history of that, unlike others like CORREA. And I said no player wants to get injured. And he talked about, it depends what players are doing in the off season. Your job is to stay fit until retirement, right? And I said, how do you know what players are doing in their off season? And he mentioned someone like Hazard, who's, we know he comes back. This guy is looking like, he's been eating some KFC, McDonald's all summer. So it's a good example he brought up with Hazard. And I forgot to reply to him actually. But with Brozovic, it's like, we take it as like this meme, like, oh yeah, epic Brozovic, oh, he smokes, he eats some salami, he eats frozen pizza. It's all good. He drinks. We've seen, him enjoying himself getting drunk. But at some point, like we know, at some point that catches up with you guys, that type of lifestyle. Let me see if I can find my tweet a few months ago. Like I was just like hoping, I think it was after his first muscular injury, that I was hoping that he wasn't, it wasn't going to be like a recurring thing with him. No, I can't find it now. But yeah, that kind of, he's known not to be the most professional off the pitch, Brozovic. and this season is the first time that he's been getting injured. Like usually, this guy is like a machine. Even on the Conte, he was overplayed on the Conte as well. He was absolutely like every single game, even if it was Coppa Italia, this guy would play. So this is the first time that we're seeing like injury issues or like regular injury issues for Brozovic. Like look at his record before, nothing. Missing games here and there, like 3 games, coronavirus, calf problems, normal stuff. Like especially the amount of games he plays is absolutely expected. But yeah, look at this. Just this season, with according to Transfermarkt, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but they're talking about this is his 4th injury this season already. So we have to take a look on it. Like we can't, just because we like slandering Lukaku Sensi, like we can't like look past this. Like this is some little red flags that I'm seeing at the moment. And by the way, this is not a slander to Brozovic. He, for me, is, I've said this many times, in this team, probably top 3 of my favorite guys. Is Skriniar, Brozovic, and it changes between Toro and Barella. But yeah, he's definitely one of my top 3 favorite players. So I don't want to lose out on Brozovic. But at the same time, you have to think, future squad planning for Marotta Ausilio. You think about this guy is 30 years old. He's our highest paid player in terms of gross salary. Hakan's shown that he can step in. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one to think about. But let's see. Let Brozo come back into this team. Let him stay injury free. Let's see. Is he, like, he showed at the World Cup that when he is fit, like he showed that he's still at a high level. But is his lifestyle off the pitch catching up with him? Because we know, like, Nainggolan, like we saw it with Raja Nainggolan, he was an absolute machine at Roma, Cagliari, like, and he always had a bad lifestyle off the pitch. But at some point, at the age of 28, 29, when we signed him, it just all went downhill. But he was really bad. Like, it's a bad comparison because he was just like, he didn't really care about his being professional at all. I don't think Brozovic is as bad. I think it's more like a meme about him being a bit crazy off the pitch. But it's something to like think about. It's something to think about. And yeah, of course, I think he is one of those guys that looks like he could play until then. But that's what I'm saying, where he needs to make that switch at some point. He needs to see, like, how Perisic, you have to go the extra mile after 30. You have to start going over the extra mile, yoga, special stretches, having a personal trainer, all these types of things that after the age of 30, you have to start bringing in. Is Brozovic going to be that type of guy to start doing that? So let's see. But yeah, anyway, Brozovic Kessie swap for me. No go for me. If Kessie was a young, up and coming, energetic midfielder with hunger, then I would probably think about it. But when you're talking about a guy who moved to Barcelona for money, made the wrong move, hasn't really shown too much. He didn't show too much even in the last year of Milan. He wasn't that great. Ask Milan fans. As I said, his second last year in Milan was the really good one. But if you look at his totality of time in Milan, he wasn't that great. He is a player that I like, but as I said, that is too much money for a backup or like a mezzala. I don't know if he would be a certain starter in this team. And how like hungry and how motivated would he be, really? That's the thing with Kessie. Like, as I said, he seems to be a guy motivated by money, and I don't know. He doesn't strike me as like a guy looking for redemption, coming in and going and wants to prove the world wrong. It just seems like a guy who's not getting the playtime he wants and just he's looking for the next team that are willing to pay his wages. And again, this has been proposed not by Inter. This has been proposed by Barcelona. So yeah, again, I don't think this is likely. I don't think it's going to happen. And I hope it doesn't happen either. So yeah, Yeah, there are some pictures of him over, but I think a lot of these guys when they go back home, like they just sometimes there's pictures of players out there with, but I doubt he'd be an Inter fan. Even if he is, he hasn't really ever said it or been clear about it. So, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I agree, Ricardo. Need to you definitely need to. I don't know if you need to reinvent yourself, but you definitely need to take control of your life off the pitch because your body before 30 just it's like a rubber or like it just keeps regenerating and then it just starts to slowly slow down. So yeah, well, the Cristiano, I don't think anyone the Cristiano, that's just like next level of obsession. I don't think many humans in the world can do what Cristiano does. That's next level of commitment. But just and again, I don't know what Brozovic like. Again, as I was debating with that guy on Twitter, we don't know what they're doing in their personal life. He could be a massively professional guy off the pitch as well. Have a personal chef that does the most strict diet possible. We don't know, but I mean, his body, like, you can tell from someone's body as well. Brozovic's body, like I always say, this guy does not look like a professional footballer. When he takes his top off, like, this guy is skinnier than me. It doesn't seem like he's got an ounce of muscle on him. But somehow, he the power, that Balkan power within him carries him through. Yeah, lots of definitely interesting names in the summer that could potentially be looking at in midfield. I agree. And yeah, we don't want Barcelona to be enjoying our Brozovic for sure. But yeah, 40 minutes. Geez, we talked about the transfer market a lot longer than I thought. But yeah, let's keep an eye on it. This is another report coming out of Spain saying that Barcelona are interested in offloading some players like Kessie and DEPAY, but Atletico are keen on DEPAY. According to Marca, the real talks have actually concerned a possible exchange deal involving. So there, Marca are saying that it's Brozovic and DEPAY, the actual swap that Barcelona want to do, which is definitely no go. We need to get rid of CORREA, so that's definitely a no go zone. So yeah, I don't see any of this stuff happening, honestly speaking. So yeah, let's move on to Inter versus Verona, guys. Thank you for all your comments. I can see when it comes to transfer market, everyone has a lot more to say. Everyone is a lot more opinionated when it comes to this. Oh yeah, actually no. Thank you, Kirby, for bringing that up. So there is actually. So according to reports, Rafaela Pimenta, who is the let me bring up. She's the agent of many people because she kind of took over from Mino Raiola. So after Mino Raiola passed away, she kind of there's Enzo Raiola as well, who is his Mino Raiola's brother. Yeah, you are quite late, Victor. You're 14 minutes late, but it's all good. It's all good. You can always rewind back and like the video. She is the agent of many people now. She's kind of taken over the Raiola camp, as I said. And one of the names on this camp is, of course, our boy Denzel Dumfries, currently valued at 28 million according to Transfermarkt. Contract expiring in 2025. And actually, let's type in. Let's see what comes up if we type in Pimenta Dumfries in news. Yeah, so if you see here, I mean, the source isn't that great, HITC, but yeah. So you see here, according to FC, oh no, actually, they're using FC Inter News as the source. So the defenders' representatives are in London, with the report stating there could be a chance that Pimenta might meet with Tottenham to discuss the potential deal for Dumfries, with Spurs heavily linked with the Dutch player, with an asking price of 60 million euros. Dumfries would be quite the signing for Tottenham, blah, blah, blah. Oh, read the sentence, guys. Dumfries is regarded by many as one of the most entertaining fullbacks in all of Europe. I mean, by entertaining, yeah, he does entertain me a lot in terms of he does make me laugh a lot. But very hit and miss when it comes to the actual, quality, but still a good player. As I keep saying, I think he's been a bit too much of a scapegoat by Inter fans recently since that Juventus game. But yeah, so it's not confirmed, but there are, I read some reports even out of Italy earlier that she has been spotted. But again, she is the agent of many, many players here, Mazraoui, Marlin, Pinamonti, Romagnoli, Donnarumma, Verratti, De Ligt, lots. She's got, how many players does she have? Bloody hell. Yeah, so it could be related to any of these players, to be honest. And then, yeah, as it says here, Tottenham, actually their priority at the moment is Pedro Porro, the right wing back from Sporting Lisbon, who has like a 40 million release clause or something like that. So I don't know. Let's see regarding Dumfries, but that is something we know. Dumfries is the most. We've said it since last summer. And it's funny, last summer it was like a 50-50 thing. People used to disagree with me, like, oh no, we shouldn't sell Dumfries, is good. But now the tunes change. Now like 90% of the fan base is like, yeah, Dumfries, sell him. And yeah, of course, Kirby. I would sell Dumfries for 40. I doubt we get 60. Like the report says, asking price 60. I mean, we can ask for 60. But if he's not even the starting right wing back right now ahead of Matty Dams, how are you going to even ask for 60 with a straight face? But yeah, as I've said many times, if we can get 35, 40 million plus for Dumfries, you got to do that, because then you manage to get a nice plus Valenza. He was 14 million when we bought him. His value on the books will be less than 10 million now. You make a nice 30 million capital gain. And you make a nice, we still need to make around 30 million net transfer before June 2023. So we meet that target. And then you can start looking for a replacement, which I've said many times. Someone like Wilfred Singo from Torino, if you can land him for half the price of what you sell Dumfries, you can probably land him for around 15 to 20 million if Torino play ball, because I think he renewed for an extra year, but he only has an extra year of contract. Or someone else. I think that is the move to make, and then hopefully you don't need to sacrifice someone else, one of the bigger players. Yeah, I mean, if it happens in January, maybe that could open up something. Yeah, if it could happen to open up in something for January incoming for Inter as well. Okay, so Porro got injured. Okay, that I guess then it maybe makes sense. We haven't wrote that 100% yet. Probably watching paint dry kind of entertaining. Yeah, not just is that's my realistic target, bro. That's my realistic target. He's not I keep saying he's not the finished article. I'm not saying he's the best right wing back in the world. I'm not saying he's going to be, a massive upgrade straight away, but I think the potential is there. He's 21. He's got Juric coaching, 2 years of Juric coaching under his belt. Last season, he had a really good season. This season, he's kind of weirdly taken a step back, but I like the potential that he has, especially going forward. He's much more complete than Dumfries going forward in terms of he's probably not as good in the air. Like he's just, Dumfries has that on a lot of fullbacks in the world, wing backs. He's just, physically a beast, like height wise and jumping. But, Singo's quicker, better dribbler, better crosser, better technically, most importantly. And yeah, I think, he's just got more potential overall. Yeah, exactly. The last season was a very good season. People forget, like he on like the numbers wise, he was not far off Hakimi in terms of the numbers he put up, especially for the amount we paid for him, and this defensive solidity as well. People forget the defensive solidity he brought to the team. But let's see. Hopefully, I do want him, if he stays until the end of the season, I do want him to recover his form like not just to sell him on. Like we need, as I always say, people like start to just someone's on the end, their contract is ending, you start looking ahead, but you get the best out of what you can whilst that player is there. Like that's what I keep saying with CORREA. As long as a CORREA is here, I don't understand why San Siro keeps booing him, or Gagliardini, until he's got 6 months. Oh, actually, we need to talk about Gagliardini as well, his statements. But until the player is at Inter, I want that player to be playing as best as possible. I don't understand people that start saying, "Oh, bench him," or like start booing him, or whilst the players at Inter, like to me, that's I would want that player to do well. Terminan for 40. Bringing attack and miss those. Why would you miss those Quaresma days, bro? Those were awful days. Quaresma was awful for Inter. I don't know if you ever watched Inter whilst Quaresma was there, brother. That was one of the biggest flops. Actually, when we speak about, Jean-Mario, Dalbert, Correa type of flops, Quaresma was a massive, massive flop for Inter. Yeah, like what did we see? I think we signed him for like, was it like 30, 40 million? Like he was really bad. And I was so hyped. The day that we signed Quaresma, I was like, wow, finally we signed a baller. Like I'm so happy. Mourinho wanted him, Portuguese guy. I was like, yes, this is gonna be a hit. This is gonna be amazing. And yeah, this was one of probably Mourinho's biggest flop actually at Inter. Oh yeah, so it was 24.6 million, but I think we gave them Pele, that youth player, back then. So it was like a package deal, I think, worth about 30 million euros. But back then, in 2008-9, that was, that's a lot of money. And then yeah, we ended up selling him to Besiktas 7 million, which is not too bad. Yeah, so that's what saves Quaresma's deal. But actually, that was only 2 years later as well. But yeah, Quaresma was a big, big flop. So I don't know, Alex, if you missed out of actually watching Inter back then. He was a massive, massive flop. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's also a question, but then he needs to prove it till the end of the season as well. We've said, like, what Bellanova has shown until now, he definitely hasn't convinced Inzaghi until now, and he definitely hasn't convinced most of the fan base until now. He's still looking quite raw. He's still looking, not quite ready for a club of Inter stature, which is nothing wrong with it. At 22 years of age, I said Di Marco, he's 25 now. Now he's ready for Inter. He needed those 2 years of loan at Hellas Verona, that year at Parma. All those years of loans is taking him a while. So there's nothing. I don't think you say give it up on Bellanova, but I think maybe he needs one more year as a starter somewhere where he can play 30 games as a starter at least, and iron out, those few weaknesses that he still has in his game, especially defensively, and polish up going forward as well. But I want to say give up on Bellanova, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if Inter will take up the option to buy, because with Asllani we have the obligation to buy. I think it's 4 million plus 10, so 14 million deal to buy Asllani. That will be done and dusted because that's obligation. With Bellanova, I think it was 3 plus 8 or something like that, 11, 12 million in total. I don't know if Inter will end up taking that option. So let's see. It's a difficult one, but he needs to prove, and of course he needs the playing to prove it. He needs the playing time. But yeah, it's a difficult one. Yeah, he needs someone like a coach. That's what I say. Like I've tweeted this out. Like I hope we can work something out with Torino in the single deal that we send Bellanova to them so he can be coached by Juric. That just like how Di Marco was developed under Juric. Send Bellanova to Juric for a year at Torino if he stays, which actually I doubt it because he deserves a better club, Juric. But if we can send him to a coach like that for a year and then bring him back, and then, Matty Dahms by then will be, 33, 34. And then you can bring back Bellanova at 24 years of age. Maybe he's, at that time, he's ready. He's ready to step in to be the starter at Inter. Sup, King Darian. Sup. Villanova is ready more than Dumfries, in my opinion. No, that's what I mean. People are now like completely overreacting with this Dumfries stuff. Is like, you know, people are just completely forgetting what Dumfries did last season. He's definitely much better impact substitute to bring on in terms of what he showed against Parma. You know, that pace and that you know, just that directness that this team doesn't have. But he's just still way too raw, way too raw. Yeah, King Darren, we talked about it at the beginning. We are 54 minutes in. We are done and dusted with that talk. And yes, hit that like button, everyone. Thank you, Mattia, for reminding the people. And yeah, I've talked about Juric to Inter as well. I think it's just a step too much right now. I think Juric needs the next step from Torino. Like, you know how Trudeau went to Marseille now. So I think he needs, like, you know, I don't know, a team with a bit more money that can back him and take him, and have, you know, European football as well. I want to see Juric, how he handles 2 matches a week as well. You know, having League Cup games. See how, you know, he's the same in terms of Conte, like that. Those physical demands that Juric has, can he handle those? And most importantly, his like here, like in terms of he's very hot-headed. Like, can he handle, you know, big clubs? You can't just, you know, have a fight. You know, we saw the video of Juric fighting with the sporting director in pre-season. Like, you can't be doing that kind of stuff at a big club. You have to have a certain level of, you know, behavior and, you know, poker face and a bit of class. You can't be like going out in the media. You have to, a big team coaches needs to, like, you know, it's a little bit different, but he definitely has that potential. So I think, I don't know, yeah, so like a top 6 team in Italy. Like, you know, if Sarri doesn't want to continue at Lazio, that could be interesting. Or if Fiorentina give up on Italiano, that could be interesting. You know, that's the type of team I'm talking about. Just, you know, a bit below Inter in terms of step up, or abroad, like how Igor Tudor did with Marseille. As I said, that would be very, very interesting. But yeah, Matthew, we've talked about the Skriniar stuff in previous streams. There's no update as of yet. Again, I keep saying, to me, there's no point talking about, oh, there's negative feelings today at the Inter camp. Oh no, today they're feeling more positive. Let's just wait. Inter's offer is on the table, 6.5 million, including bonuses. Skriniar wants a little bit more. Will Inter push to 7.5 to make him the highest paid centre back in the league? And probably, actually, if Inter push, as we saw, as I talked about in my live stream last time around, 7.5 actually would make him the highest paid player in Serie A in terms of gross wages. Will Inter push themselves that far? I don't know. But yeah, I'm not panicking yet. I'm still holding out hope, just because it is Skriniar, and his track record with us, and the fact that if it was, he would have already agreed with PSG, and it would have been done and dusted, and, you know, there would be no negotiations. But negotiations are still there, which means there's still a dialogue between 2 parties, and there's still possibilities between the 2 parties. And of course, majority of the fan base is thinking what Mattia's thinking at the moment, that he's definitely leaving. And yeah, definitely would be even probably bigger mistake than the Perisic one. But yeah, let me finish up now. We've been talking almost an hour. We're not really going to have much time to talk about it, but I wanted to cover it. You know, Inter versus Hellas Verona, 1-0 win. What did you guys make of it? Let me give you quick comments down below. Let me bring up the stats of the game. I watched it today, and always, as usual, watching it after, like, not watching it live, always you feel a lot more grounded in terms of, you're not as, you know, invested in it. You know, you don't feel the drama as much. Because I was watching, you know, I watched Mo's post-match reaction, and I watched, you know, some Italian match reactions, some Italian YouTubers. I watched, you know, I looked on Twitter, the reactions and stuff, and it seemed quite, you know, oh, you know, we could have, it was a bad performance, you know, what was Inter doing? We could have lost that game. But to me, it seemed like, you know, a performance that I saw Inter's Conte or Conte's Inter do a lot when with Conte was here was just, a controlled 1-0 win with very low effort, not much chance creation on either side. If you look at the stats, what's the XG? Yeah, 0.66 XG for Inter and only 0.26 for Verona. Like a very, very stale match. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't watch it live because it's kind of I think Kulibaba I think went to watch this one live. So apologies to you, Kulibaba, that you had to watch this game. This was your first live game at the San Siro. Not a great watch, to be honest. And let me bring up, let's see the should have got this up actually earlier, but I want to see the running stats to see how much Inter had to run, because to me, on the eye, it didn't look like it was a match where Inter had to work very hard to win. But I said, let's have a look. Oh, bloody hell, this Serie A website is completely changed now. Where is it? The Serie A website's changed a lot. Serie A team. Let me show you guys. I mean, it looks nice. Fair play to Serie A. Finally, is stepping up too. So we go here into Hellas Verona. Match report. There is. Download PDF. So if we go running stats. Average amount of what we'd usually do, 112 kilometers. Gagliardini covering the most, then Darmian, then Skriniar, then Acerbi, then Bastoni. Interesting. There's all of them are defenders, apart from Gagliardini. But I guess Hakan and Mkhitaryan was substituted, so that makes sense. And then what was the other thing I wanted to check? Oh, forgot. But to me, like on the eye, it didn't look too difficult of a match. Like, yes, Inter didn't create too much, but these are the type of games that a team needs to get a few times. Like, this is the type of wins Juventus has been doing for when they had those 8-win streak and everyone was praising them. These are the types of wins they were doing, like very low XG for them, but very low XG for the other team. And as I said, maybe it was because I didn't watch it live and I didn't feel that, that nervousness. But there was a few moments towards the end of the game where it looked like Verona could have got a chance. Mattia was also reacting to the game with Mo. I saw his match reaction. And at the same time, we had again some decisions that didn't go our way. This one, as Ricardo says, there's a difficult one, but at the same time, I think it was very soft. The defender puts his arm in front of Lautaro, as the picture shows there. Maybe Lautaro pulls him a little bit, but I don't think he pulled him enough for him to fall over forwards. So I don't know how that worked, that if Lautaro was pulling him backwards and Davidovic falls forward face first into the ground. And it was a very nice finish by Lautaro. So I don't know how that didn't get called, or that one got called, because that seemed to me. If the referee gave a foul straight away, but again, this time he did the right thing. He didn't, remember what happened against Monza. He blew too quickly, which meant that VAR couldn't get involved. So I don't know if this was actually a clear and obvious error, or whatever they classify this to be overturned. And then this should have been a second yellow for Isaacien, the centre back for Hellas Verona, who was already on a yellow card here. And as you can see here, the image from Errori Arbitrali, which is a great page on Twitter to follow that looks at refereeing decisions in Italy. There's two Hellas Verona defenders who are completely out of the game there. Edin Dzeko, yes, we know he hasn't got pace, but Edin Dzeko is in on goal because he's turned Isaacien there, and Isaacien pulls him back into potential goal-scoring opportunity. So it's not a direct red we're asking for here. We're just asking for a yellow. And it should be, that should have been a yellow and a second red, second yellow and a red. So that's another decision. And then this, the Mkhitaryan potential handball again by Isakian there. So I saw the explanation by Luca Marelli, who is the on the zone. He is the refereeing expert who explains things, and he explained as that this one wasn't given because the arm, the action of Hian's arm was coming back. So when it hits him and it hits him here, he's actually like is going the way that his arm should be, like towards the inside of his body. But again, we've seen plenty of these given. Like I don't understand handballs anymore, to be honest. Like it's such a like there's no clarity anymore. Like what is a handball, what isn't a handball? I don't even know anymore, I'll be honest. But from referees that we've been seeing over the last few seasons, that looked like a handball to me. And you can see how, the way Mkhitaryan's curled it, that looked like is potentially bottom corner. Very good technique, it looks like, on that, with nice curl on it. So yeah, a few decisions there that went against us. Not very good refereeing by Fabri. So we didn't play well. I agree with that. But again, to me, these are the types of wins that you need to start getting. As I said, if you're going to get a streak together, it doesn't really matter the way you're winning. You just need to get those streaks together. Whether you call it terrorist ball, whether you call it, Al-Qaeda ball, Allegri ball, or whatever you want to call it. A win, 3 points is 3 points. Hellas Verona created nothing. 0.26 XG from them. 6 shots, only 1 on target. And that one wasn't particularly worrying either. Yes, they put some pressure on at the end. And it was probably, if you're watching it live, it probably was nervous and you feel like goal is coming in the air. But in the end, Hellas Verona didn't really create too much. And the clean sheet, at home, we've been keeping clean sheets in general, but it's still good that we've been able to keep a clean sheet. We've talked about it, Giuseppe. We already talked about the Ledoux stuff. I think I actually forgot to mention that part, actually, that Ledoux completely denied the DEPAY stuff. So, but yeah, we already talked about that. Even the Mane one. But the Mane one I couldn't understand, because it was like, by the rules, he didn't make his body bigger, because it was like within the width of his body. But at the same time, it's like he's literally just deflected the ball on purpose. So I understand in terms of the rules that he wasn't making his body bigger. But there Hian is, even though his arm is coming back in, he still made his body bigger in that moment that the ball hit him. So I don't know. As I said, I don't understand handballs anymore. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about in the game was, so Skriniar and Onana especially, it seemed like they were getting a lot of there was a couple of moments where they were like shouting at each other, moaning at each other, which was weird to see, because Onana's been starting in the team now for a while now. What was it, like October, November, when he like permanently just became the number one keeper. So these types of things you would expect to see in those first initial weeks, but we didn't really see too much of that. So it was weird to see yesterday that there was these moments. This was another one. This was the same moment. It was, Skriniar, instead of leaving it to Onana, clears it for a corner with a slide tackle, and it looked like Onana caught it. And then, they were moaning at each other there. And then there was another one that I forgot. I didn't get the screenshot of that, but there was another moment where Skriniar and Onana were having words because of a misunderstanding. So I don't know if it's a language barrier, because we know obviously Onana isn't fluent with Italian still. But even if he didn't speak Italian, like calling for a ball is just mia, like my ball. Or even if he says it in English or Spanish, it's not far off. So, or even if he just shouts, like, in football, it's like when a keeper calls, it's something very simple. It's not like he says a full sentence like, hey bro, leave the ball, I've got the ball. It's not like something long. It's just something very simple. Or is he shouting loud enough, or I don't know. They need to sort of figure that out, because Oops, sorry, my internet seems like it's struggling a bit there, so apologies if it's lagging a bit. But I don't know about that. Skriniar was on the edge whole game. I don't know if I really noticed that, because there was a moment that Bastoni also moaned at him as well. I remember there was a moment where Bastoni also moaned at him, so I'm not sure if it was just Skriniar. I think everyone's now, because we know the Skriniar situation. We're all like, when we see Skriniar, like we almost like focus in on him and look at him. And yeah, of course, the newspaper would say "Crisi Inter." Yeah, exactly, Ashkan. There was an instant in the second half too, and they're now saying Fabri might lose out on UEFA matches. Yeah, I mean he's if he's objectively also by refereeing standards making mistakes, so that's good. Clearly, he isn't up to the level that he should be at. MVP says his body language says he's leaving. I don't know. Again, I think people are reading too much into it now. I remember people were saying the same stuff with Brozovic last year. As I said, let's see. So with Skriniar, the answer is supposed to come after the Supercoppa. But again, I don't want people to think that that would be the final answer from Skriniar. Again, I think his answer would be, it'd probably be a no. I'm expecting a no probably. But I think he's trying to see whether Inter make the extra step to make him to get up to the 7.5 million mark, with the bonuses and things like that. So yeah, let's see. I don't know. I disagree. I didn't really particularly see anything. I mean, to me, it was one of the best players, if anything, Skriniar, yesterday or whenever we played. I mean, what was the surface score ratings? Yeah, the whole back line got nice rating. Bastoni obviously gets more because he's usually completes a lot more passes and dribbles and things like that. I think the Mkhitaryan was very low rated. I enjoyed Mkhitaryan's game. Actually, the goal came from a nice Mkhitaryan run. Let me see if it is in my bookmarks. I think I did put it in my bookmarks. Yeah, if you see here, after we build up, great ball by Onana, Dzeko layoff. And this is what we talk about, like profiles. Mkhitaryan is the one here that will take this ball up now. 1-2 with Lautaro. And look at that. But this is ball carrying, takes the ball up 20, 30 yards into the box. And this is where Lautaro gets his goal off the Gagliardini deflected shot. So, yeah, I think that's a harsh rating. But yeah, Lautaro, man of the match. But apart from that, I thought Skriniar had a good game. And if we even got a Carboni outing, where is he? Yeah, we even got like 4 minutes for Carboni, which was good to see. Barella's back, which is good to see. Great news ahead of the Supercoppa. Aslani came on and was good. Yeah, Aslani even had a chance as well. I think I bookmarked someone's video on that. Yeah, Aslani almost scored. Just a few inches to the right, or slightly less curl. That would have been a nice goal for Aslani. So yeah, if you look at it, we're going into the Supercoppa game. Yeah, I'll make a live stream tomorrow for the Supercoppa. But yeah, if you think about it, we're going into the Supercoppa game in better form than Milan, because Milan drew away to Lecce. Who else did they just snuck past Salernitana. They lost to Torino in the Coppa Italia. They drew to Roma. So, they're in kind of indifferent form. They're going to be missing Mike Magnon, which is a massive, massive miss. So, yeah, I'm feeling kind of confident going into Supercoppa. But let's see team news and what we do in the Supercoppa in terms of lineup. Shakir, I don't know. I think 6.5 really is the ceiling for this Inter team, especially for someone that doesn't get the growth decree. I think if Skriniar was like a guy that benefited from growth decree, like a Lukaku, or a guy coming from abroad, they could have pushed it. but a guy for 6.5 for Skriniar is like, 12, 13 million gross wages for Inter. So, if you get to the 7.5, you get into the 14, 15 million ballpark figures. So I do struggle to see Inter getting there, but maybe they can do some bonuses. Maybe I can see them maybe stretching it. That's how I see them potentially doing that. Lukaku starting, I doubt it. I mean, he was out for 2 games now, and again, we know it takes him a while, and he'll be probably not really fit to start that game. And he probably doesn't deserve it, really. We can't just put Lukaku straight back in. He did okay against Napoli, but what's he done since that would say that he deserves to start a game in the Super Cup in the final. And yeah, it's Inzaghi's specialty is cup, so that does give us the edge, hopefully. But yeah, guys, 1 hour 15. We covered lots of stuff today. As I said, DEPAY, CORREA, if it's true, of course, I would be in for it. But again, calma. Let's, look at the injury history of DEPAY. Kessie, Brozovic is a no from me because of Kessie's salary is, it's just a bit too high. And it's Brozovic. So let's give Brozovic, let's see. Is Brozovic dusted physically as well, like Lukaku or something, or not? Let's give him time to prove himself. Inter Hellas Verona, Lautaro man of the match. This is the type of performances I like to see quickly on Lautaro. Technically, his touches were good, consistent, creating chances. Took his one chance with his left foot as well. I had a lovely screenshot, I think, for that. Yeah, look at that, with his left foot falling backwards as he often does. No chance for the goalkeeper. Lovely finish. So man of the match. Very happy with Lautaro. Getting into form ahead of the Supercoppa. Hopefully he takes that into the Supercoppa. And we'll get into the Supercoppa tomorrow. As I said, I'll do a preview stream tomorrow for that. It's going to be Maresca, the referee. Dezembre du, Maresca, Dezembre du. But yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you, everyone that tuned in. I hope you guys enjoyed 1 hour 15. It was a bit longer than I thought, but I hope you guys enjoyed. We covered a lot of stuff. Appreciate everyone. Thank you for coming through. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Ciao ragazzi. Always, Forza Inter.